as it was informed to me by Dr. Arjun, may I now request Professor CSC Sekhar to uh, give your opinion on the budget. Probably, I would expect, as it was informed to us by the organizers, each speaker can take about 8 minutes, and we will have a quick wrap-up round where you can also uh, uh, wrap up whatever you have got to say in about 2 minutes. That we'll have it in round two. Yeah, over to Professor Shekhar.
Thank you, Chair Dr. Rajkumar. Thank you, Dr. Arjun, for giving this opportunity. And also, I'm very glad to see many whose names were important names, Professor Guman, and also Dr. Tangaraj, Professor Anand. Good afternoon to everyone. And I have not much to say in the sense that I'll just focus on the rural economy, in the sense that particularly on the agriculture sector. As I say it, as a rural sector has mainly two important components. One is the economy, the other is the social development part of it. Social development, when I say the water, the health and sanitation, so on and so forth. So I'll be focusing more on the agriculture part of it. I mean, what is there as far as agriculture is concerned and how it relates to rural development as a whole. And in that, what are my concerns, what I see as missing from the budget? This is what my talk today is going to be. As the presentation by Ria very succinctly put, there are a few important announcements or initiatives that have been announced in this budget. I will go one by one very quickly. The first one is the Dhandhanya Krishi Yojana, where actually what they're planning is developing 100 agri districts, which are sort of backward in terms of yield and other parameters. And they plan to improve agricultural productivity, crop diversification, sustainable agriculture practices, and so on and so forth, post-harvest storage and at the panchayat and block level, irrigation facilities, and long-term and short-term credit. These are the components that the budget envisages. And this program is, it is likely to help around 1.7 crore farmers. This is what the budget says. Then the next important program is building rural prosperity. And in rural prosperity and resilience, what they plan is similarly the same districts will be taken, and they will address underemployment in agriculture through skilling, investment, technology, and invigorating the rural economy. This is what the actually the budget speech says, and also the annexure that is there in the budget document says. But what is missing from this whole thing is, what is the underlying plan, integrated plan? Because agriculture is at the core of rural development strategy. And how exactly is it going to be taken up? In the sense that, is it a district, if you're taking 100 districts, each district, or at least there will be a lot of heterogeneity across these 100 districts. Is there any plan, so to say, for each district? Is a district agricultural plan or rural development plan be prepared for each of these districts? And then that plan will be pursued under these two programs. That is not clear. In fact, this has been the pattern of announcement of programs in the last budgets also. They don't seem to come out of an integrated vision for agriculture and rural development. There are programs that come out in one budget, then the allocations are made in that budget, and in the next budget they drop out. In fact, in the last budget, we have seen that the Price Stabilization Fund had received some 10,000 crores odd. And this budget, it has been drastically slashed. In fact, the reason for such an increase in the last budget and slashing now is not clear. It's not in the same way in these two programs. What I expect the two ministries, particularly because these rural prosperity and resilience is under the Rural Development Ministry, whereas the Prime Minister's Dhandhanya Krishi Yojana presumably falls under the Ministry of Agriculture. So these two ministries have to coordinate and align their priorities, and also they have to evolve an integrated vision, at least for these 100 districts. And for each district, there has to be a detailed agricultural plan in place. Only then I can see this ambitious program, these two ambitious programs actually going forward. Then the next one is basically they have announced a number of programs in case of pulses and for vegetables and fruits, and also on cotton. These three are the major programs that have been announced. In pulses, the budget allocation of 1,000 crores has been made. And the idea is mission for Atmanirbharta in pulses, that is self-reliance or self-sufficiency in pulses. Now, under this program, they plan to cover Tur, Udad, and Masoor. But what is the action plan? So the action plan for attaining this Atmanirbharta is spelled out in Annexure B of the budget, where what they say is development and commercial availability of climate resilient seeds, enhancing protein content, increasing productivity, improving food post-harvest storage and management, and assuring remunerative prices to farmers. I think these are all very laudable objectives, particularly the last one, assuring remunerative prices to farmers. But how is that done is a little tricky. What they say is that NAFED and NCCF will be ready to procure these three pulses, that is Tur, Udad, and Masoor, as much as offered during the next 4 years from the farmers. So that means these agencies will physically procure from the farmers. Now, this is a very, very difficult thing, given the kind of fiscal costs that we are incurring in case of rice and wheat. Already we see the situation in rice and wheat. And if there is an open-ended procurement of these three pulses, I don't know how easy it will be for the government to really hold up the prices, how successful they will be. In fact, the better alternative would be to go for some sort of a deficiency payment system, which they have not talked about. And again, this is one issue that is there on the table. It's not clear. And similarly, a comprehensive program for vegetables and fruits with a budgetary allocation of 500 crores has been announced. And here the idea is to promote production, efficient supplies, processing, and again, remunerative prices for farmers. Now, they say appropriate institutional mechanisms will be developed and farmer producer organizations will be involved in this. I think the devil is in the details. When these guidelines are evolved for these programs, that's when we'll get to know more about these things. But given the track record of government in implementing many of the programs, it looks a little difficult. And one good initiative that they have announced is the Makhana board in Bihar with a budgetary allocation of 100 crores. This was long overdue, I believe. And I think that's a good announcement. And another important announcement is a national mission on high yielding seeds. And that's very good because the research ecosystem needs to be strengthened. But it's not just actually developing these high yielding varieties, but those high yielding varieties should reach the farmer, and the farmer should be provided the complementary inputs to actually realize that higher yield. So this, unless that is done, this whole the whole package is taken care of. I think it leaves a lot to be desired. And mission for cotton productivity with a budgetary allocation of 677 crores is fine. And also it's a 5-year mission to facilitate productivity and sustainability of cotton farming. And more importantly, this is focusing on extra long staple cotton cultivation. This is very important for increasing farmers' income and also steady supply for quality cotton for the traditional textile sector. So this long staple, extra long scale staple cotton variety is very important from that view. And then enhanced credit through KCC. Now the Kisan credit cards scheme, now 3 lakhs to 5 lakhs, the credit availability has been extended from 3 lakhs to 5 lakhs for loans taken through KCC. But there are some studies currently going on which show somewhat discouraging results of the KCC. In fact, there is a lot of leakage in KCC and the KCC funds being transferred to other purposes. And I think this needs to be seen very carefully before, but the enhancement has already been announced, but there needs to be strict monitoring of the loans that are availed under KCC. The last one is, I think, the India Post as a catalyst for rural economy. This is a good idea because what they plan is the post offices that are there in the entire rural India will be sort of a co-location kind of a hub for all the rural financial services, intermediation, other things. And that I think is a good thing. Now, what's missing from this budget? As I already said, one important thing that is missing is an integrated vision for rural development with agriculture at its core. This is what is basically. So even now, the budgetary exercise seems to focus on agriculture ministry and rural development ministry, and rural development and agriculture as two separate activities and almost mutually exclusive activities. And I think that needs to change. There has to be some integrated vision because there are many programs which actually dovetail well with the agriculture. For example, National Rural Livelihood Mission. So under which the women self-help groups are formed and they take up some economic activities. And if those economic activities are dovetailed with the agricultural production in the area, for example, in a pulses growing area, if you can provide these women the sufficient support to start a dal mill or some such even any other supporting activity to the agriculture, that has a higher likelihood of success. And unfortunately, such an integrated vision somehow is not happening. In fact, if you remember, if we throw back our mind, around 2008-9, the Planning Commission started a similar exercise. District agricultural plans were evolved for almost all the districts of major states. That was a very useful exercise. And during that time, after a few years, the growth actually came from many of the rain-fed districts in the country. It's because of a very detailed and very integrated planning at the district level that was made possible. And a similar vision seems to be missing at present. And one important constraint that the farmers face, particularly in agriculture, is marketing. And marketing, actually, a few years ago in the budget, there was a lot of talk about Grameen rural agricultural markets, GRAMs. And the plan was to develop 25,000 GRAMs all over the country, which are accessible to the farmers. And there was a lot of budgetary allocation, and there was also a standing committee of parliament that went into the details of this program. But somehow that program seems to have fallen by the wayside, and there is absolutely no allocation now, and there is no word about how that program is doing. And I think that's a very, very important thing, which can address many of the current farmers' concerns regarding MSP and getting remunerative prices. And many of these things can be addressed through those rural agricultural markets, the grants. And if they can strengthen that network, that will be very good. But unfortunately, that's missing. The marketing focus is completely missing. And another thing is since agriculture and also rural development are state subjects, there has to be more coordination between center and states. And to that end, GST Council kind of a body is urgently needed for agriculture and rural development. And these are some of the things that only those can actually transform these ideas and ambitions into reality. With that, I'll stop. I mean, if there are any, just one last word, actually, what Dr. Dennis Rajkumar has said, it's very true. When we look at the budgetary allocations for various ministries which are linked to rural economy, Ministry of Agriculture, Consumer Affairs, Public Distribution, and so on, you will see very nominal increase in the budgetary allocations between the range of 3 to 6%. And that is just sufficient to sort of address the inflation or beat the inflation. And so in real terms, there doesn't appear to be any much increase in the allocations, budgetary allocations. Apart from budgetary allocations, as I mentioned, there are many more things that need to be done to actually realize some of these objectives. With that, I'll stop. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shekhar. In fact, you had actually highlighted a lot of difficulties in implementing several initiatives which are designed to improve the rural economy. Particularly the absence of integration between the Rural Development Ministry and Agriculture Ministry. I think it is being highlighted by few other scholars also time and again, but somewhere we are missing that. And the marketing thing, we'll come back to that during the question and answer session, but it's an important aspect, which I also noticed that hardly any talk is there, though there has been lot of
मीटिंग में भी
download done in
इधर
the
बात
past.
फोन करेंगे.
Thank you so much, Professor Shekhar.